up on the Spanish flu, and I was just curious to know how it ended because it's not something that I honestly ever thought about before, this coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic happened, rather, you know what I mean? Because I never thought that we would be in a situation where we're witnessing a 1 in a 100 year event, you know?
Yeah.
And what I read, like, this is really oversimplifying things, but what I read was that um, by the end of it, it ended because enough people had died from it and got it that, people either died or got herd immunity, and that was it. So it
Yeah.
ran through population. It got weaker as it ran through population. Some others died in that process, and then it was over,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was thinking before I looked this up to say maybe they found a vaccine or,
Mm.
uh, you know, something of the other,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But what does that say about now, in your opinion? What does that say about now?
I mean, yeah, it says that we're in I guess it's a precarious position to be like, I mean, like I guess we discussed in like one of the early episodes, right? Like, we can't be waiting for a vaccine for how long, you know, for a virus
Mm,
that that's so new and so novel that you don't have that much of an understanding of it, right? So
yeah.
then, so then you're constantly saying, "Oh, yo, man, we're gonna keep everything locked down until we get a vaccine." You know what I mean? But
Mm.
that's unknown, so it's a dangerous game to be playing.
Well, it seems like, I mean, you're in Sydney, you're in New South Wales, so
Yeah.
it seems like there's a little bit of a balance there to where the premier and the government have decided that, we're gonna sort of try and live with it
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
certain level. You know what I mean? I saw on ABC talking
Mm.
it was gonna be last week or the week before.
Mm.
And I think that was around the time when Dan Andrews here in Victoria released his roadmap, and um, they asked her what she thought about it. When all the politicians were criticizing it, and she
Yeah.
said something along the lines of, we have had restrictions. We're going to have restrictions if something happens, but I never want to go too far, and lose the people's support because we have to have the
So
people's support at the end of
so
the
this
day.
is our premier. You mean Gladys Berejiklian who was saying that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Which is quite interesting because I don't know if you've seen any of the Victorian Premier's um, press conferences. He doesn't appear to
He
even
doesn't care
put
about that.
what people's
Yeah.
tolerance
Yeah.
to this
You see,
is.
but yeah, but I feel like Yanko, bro. Like I feel like this guy might be in his own echo chamber. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
everyone around him is like, yeah, dude, yeah, dude, yeah, dude. And then there was that poll, like, I mean, that I saw, and I sent it to you because I was shocked. You know what I mean? I was shocked
mm,
when I saw 60% of people approve. But look, I mean, we know with
mm.
polls, I don't know, man. Polls
It's a
could be
sample.
skewed. Yeah, yeah, you know what I
It's a
mean?
sample.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
very
yeah,
small,
yeah.
small sample. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it could just be a certain, you know what I mean? Like the poll said Trump was gonna lose, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, you know what I
Mm,
mean? But I was still just shocked that, and then the thing is they showed like polls coming from like I think they did the first one in like, I don't know, was it April and then June and then
yeah.
now? And then it was
Mm,
essentially the number was essentially the same, maybe like 1 or 2% difference, you know what I mean? And
mm,
I was like, man, maybe this guy, everybody around him and all his advisors and all the people he's talking to, and
mm.
maybe he's even got members of, I mean, Victorian residents writing to him in submissions and saying, we think you're doing a brilliant job. Do you think that could be a case?
Man, I think it's the echo chamber thing, one, and
Yeah.
I happened to come across this public servant. There was this economist that was working for one of the state government treasury offices, and he resigned just so he can criticize what the government is doing because he tried to criticize them. I think he said on Facebook or whatever whilst he was
Mm.
working with them. He
Yeah,
worked with them
yeah, yeah,
19
yeah.
years. Like he was an immigrant. Like I guess he was an
Mm.
immigrant like from 20, 30 years ago, whatever.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Um, and what his criticism was
Yeah.
that before this pandemic,
Yep, yep,
there
yep,
was
yep.
every ministry and every section of government giving their expertise on what they do, to the premier's office, which is, I guess, the premier office,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
then that office would listen based on everyone's combined advice before making a
Yeah.
policy decision.
They would
Whereas
come
now
up,
he's saying
yeah.
that,
He's just
yeah,
listening
and
to the
whereas
health
now
office.
the health,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I think it's that, and also because like Dan Andrews is so popular here. Before this, he was so popular here.
Yeah?
Yeah, so it's kind of like I look at it like, how like say Obama was so popular that people would love him for just being him, right? Like people don't even care
People
about
don't
what
know
his
what
policies
Obama's
are.
done. Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
don't they
They don't
don't
know
know.
one thing he's done. They just say it's
They don't-
obesity.
yeah,
Obesity,
yeah.
obesity.
It's so busy. bro,
do you
when
do
I was
you,
in the US,
do you remember, bro? I don't know if you watched the Boondocks. Did you ever watch the Boondocks?
yeah, yeah,
It's yeah. Remember Riley when they did
yeah.
an episode when and remember like when Obese was starting to run, bro, and this Obese kid was like Riley was running around everywhere screaming Obese, Obese. Then his big brother asked him, he's like, dude, do you even know this guy? And he's like, nah, nigga, fuck that, Obese. You know what I'm saying? It was funny, man. Riley was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's also that because like people are in love with their personality so much
Oh,
that
hard,
like
hard.
some people are not like I'm not saying I'm saying there is a subset of his supporters that are
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so they're so obsessed with the personality that they
Yep.
can't think outside of that,
Yep. 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 Yep.
because
Yep.
at the end of the day, like it was that hotel quarantine situation that caused all of this, and there's an
Uh-huh.
entire inquiry going
Yep.
on about
Royal
it. But
Commission into it, yeah, right.
how can they still say, you're doing a great job? Like it was his government's
Crazy.
fault,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. That was botched, eh? That whole
Yeah,
hotel quarantine was really botched. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, man. And so
What?
like yeah, I was gonna say like and his supporters maybe I guess they're not taking that into account, right? Or they're just saying, "Oh, look, it could happen. Anybody could have botched it," right? Is that what they be saying in their head?
Look,
Yeah,
they will support whatever. Like I'm on a lot of like these like I spend a lot of time on Reddit and stuff on like the local
yeah,
threads, just chatting to people, people in
yeah,
lockdown and stuff. And
yeah,
I've seen like the perspectives change there from like,
yeah.
yeah, just 2 more weeks, just 2 more weeks. Because what he says on his
Mm,
presses, every time he's extended the lockdown since March, it's
mm,
been,
mm.
Victorians, uh, we can't give it up now. We
Yeah,
sacrificed so much.
yeah.
These
We can't
places are
afford.
almost there.
Yeah,
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 just two
yeah,
more
yeah,
weeks, and now
yeah.
it's almost like he could literally be saying this up until next February,
Mm,
and
mm,
some people
mm.
would still be okay with it. But then you have to ask, like, what do you think is the end game? Like he says that if we open up right now, as of today, there've been like
Mm,
12 cases
mm,
today in the whole
mm,
state, in the
mm.
whole city of 5 million, 12 cases. And he says, and most
Mm.
of those, mind you, are healthcare workers that work in aged care and with people that have corona already. It's not in the
Yeah,
general public.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But he
yeah.
still doesn't want to open up, saying it's too early because if we open up now,
We'll have
he's
a
gonna have to
second
lock down
wave.
again.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll have
yeah,
a
yeah,
third wave,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
does that mean that he's guaranteeing that, you know, if we lock down until Christmas and there is maybe 1 or 2 cases a day or even zero, that we're not gonna have to lock down ever again because we've nipped it in the bud? Is that what he's saying?
Look, man, I was trying to kind of understand his whole viewpoint or what he's backing his decisions, you know what I mean? And honestly, it was baffling me, bro. Like it was baffling me because to me, from so many perspectives, it doesn't make sense, man. It's not practical, you know what I mean? It's
Mm.
yeah, man. But I mean, I don't know,
Expand.
bro.
Why do you not think it's not practical?
I mean, it's not practical from from so many perspectives, bro. I mean, like how many people in Victoria have lost their jobs, man. You know, how many, the Victorian economy, which is like what? Isn't it like almost a quarter of the Australian economy?
Mm.
And that's been like, you know, like that's been like decimated essentially, bro, you know. And there's obviously issues, like there's other issues like you know, domestic violence, right?
Mm.
There's obviously personal, like people, like a lot of people who are going through it emotionally, you know, mentally, just because of the lockdowns, you know. So there's all of that, you know. There's all of that, bro. But uh, I mean, it just seems like there's more things, you know, when you try and weigh up
Mm.
and, you know, you go the pros and the cons, it
Mm.
seems like there is more pros in, you know, going to, you know, going to a situation where he's, you know, kind of following the New South Wales approach, for example. There's more pros with that than where he is, you know. But again,
Mm.
it doesn't make sense. So I'm saying that, like, the logic. And the thing is, I know these guys. I know, like, Daniel Andrews. I don't know like what his background is. You know what I mean? But I know
Like
he's
education background.
yeah. I don't know what that is, but he's obviously a smart man, man. He's the premier. You
Mm.
know, he's
Yeah, he
obviously
didn't
got
get there. He didn't get there
yeah.
being a dummy. Yeah.
No way. You know, he's obviously probably, you know, sounds very articulate, you know what I mean, when he's talking and everything. Obviously knows what he's on about. His advisors as well. I'm sure they know what they're on about. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But then they're still sticking by what they're saying. Sometimes maybe it's a thing of pride. I don't know, sometimes politicians are proud, you know, even if something that they're pushing or they're standing for is clearly wrong, they'll just be like, nah, keep pushing it through just to be like, you know, at the end, I told you so.
Well, sunken cost fallacy, bro.
Yeah, oh, like fancy way, in the fancy way of putting it, then I guess that's what that is, bro.
How is that fancy?
You know? It just sounds fancy, bro. Like it's just like a big jargon, bro. It's just like
Sunken cost. Come on, bro. Like,
I'm not a jargon guy, bro. You know what I mean? I'm a simple guy. I'm just a simple guy, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
say the guy with the studded chain. But anyway, look, I think at this point they've been like, you know, doing these lockdowns so hard, you know, that I don't know. I think they're secretly committed to elimination. And that's why with 12, 10, you know, 8, you know, 20 cases in a city of 5 million over the last couple of, you know, a week or so, they still won't open up, even though most of those cases are on healthcare. I think they're after the strategy of elimination, but they don't want to admit it, you know, in which case it kind of doesn't make sense still because, you know, like this country doesn't exist in a vacuum. This state doesn't exist in a vacuum. Other
and we're
places
talking
in
about a
this
virus,
country,
yeah.
yeah, we're talking about a virus.
We're
Like
talking
New
about a
Zealand thought they
virus, yeah.
had beat it,
Yeah,
you know?
we're talking about a virus.
Yeah, we can't control it by lockdowns. As long as like we can still go to Coles, you know, there's a chance to spread. Like,
I think what their goal or aim should have been, which is like, you know, like New South Wales was to flatten the curve, right? As soon as you flatten the curve, and then which is like that's as we were reading before, that's, you know, essentially what like what a lot of countries like the England, the USA used to control the Spanish flu. You know what I mean? So they flattened the curve, and then which is essentially what, you know, has been done in New South Wales, flatten the curve, and then let everything go back to normal. You know what I'm saying? Haven't you guys come to a position now where you can say, you know, you've done that in Victoria?
man, I don't know. Like that was what the whole country agreed on doing in
Yeah,
earlier in the year when we didn't know too much about the virus. You know, I remember when there was all these images from China, from Italy, of people getting carried out by the dozens out of hospitals, and we thought that it was going to be like that. And then, you know, people were scared, so they said, okay, we're going to lock down so that our healthcare system can keep up with the eventual number of cases. You know, we're going to get ready. You know, I don't know when the policy changed from flattening the curve to, okay, we've got 12 cases. Okay, you know, there's how many people were in hospital? I think they said there were 30 Victorians in hospital and 6 in ICU, 1 in serious condition, 1 on a ventilator, something like that. You know, there's what I think 1,500 beds in ICU in the state.
Wow.
You know,
Wow. Yeah,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
canceled all elective surgery.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
when did the thing actually, but my friend, one of my friends, he was telling me that,
Mm.
it's because of the other states. The other states won't open up to Vic if there's some cases like this still. So he has to do it so that we can get let back into the country. Do you think it's partly that as well?
Difficult for me to provide, an opinion on that because I mean, I'm not like I haven't read up on it. It's just then it just becomes strictly what I'm thinking. I'm not really basing it on anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess he
But
was basing it on the fact that state borders are
yeah.
being closed to this place and that place every other day because blah blah blah.
But what would be the benefit of them? What's Vic's major benefit of Victoria being opened up to other states? I mean, from an economic perspective, if Victoria is able to be opened up to itself with 5 million people, that's enough people to get the economy back up and running, isn't it? Like, I mean, how many interstate visitors is Victoria getting for it to be that much of a benefit to Victoria? For it to be the sole reason that he wants to, you know, bring the
Right.
cases to like zero. Like,
You don't
um,
think there's enough interstate visitors happening for that to be the reason?
for that to be the sole reason, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't
Mm.
know, man. Like, I feel like, um, and like now there's people leaving the state, right? I was talking to another friend of mine today, and he's going back to Queensland, man.
From here,
Yeah, yeah, from there, bro.
like
So
permanently?
he said permanently, man. He just said, nah, you know what? Fuck this, fuck Dan Andrews, man. I'm going. You know what I mean? I know another, bro. I know another guy, man. I was talking to him. He just, yeah, just the other day on the weekend, actually, and he was in Melbourne too, and now he's in Sydney, bro. He's in Sydney.
Look, man, I think there's a lot
Thirty
of people
thousand,
going
bro.
via like Northern Territory, like people going to the NT, you know, to quarantine
Posting
there,
up,
and then
post up,
they'll
yeah,
party there,
yeah.
party with the locals, and
With the locals in the
and then
MT, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
then they'll
I
fly
heard it's
back to
wild out
Queensland
there.
after they're done partying, and
Mm,
I never would have imagined that like the NT would be a desirable destination more so than Melbourne,
Melbourne,
because Melbourne's
yeah.
supposed to be the star attraction, right?
Dude, Melbourne was like number one. Melbourne was becoming a cultural and social hub. I think not only in Australia, I even think the reputation of Melbourne was now going international, to
Global,
be honest. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think Melbourne was now becoming one of those cities, man. It was you guys were
yeah.
flying, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. We were looking at y'all enviously, like, man, damn, like, man. Melbourne really look lit, huh? You know what I mean? Like, looking at your Snapchats and your IG stories every weekend, like, what am I doing? What am I doing in Sydney? You know what I mean? Questioning yourself,
True,
man. Eesh, eesh,
true,
eesh. Yeah,
man.
yeah, but
I don't I just don't understand it. What I want to see is like,
yeah,
because when you try and have this like, the other thing I don't like is the government has made it so that a lot of people watch the news and stuff and they get the
yeah,
opinion from what they hear on the news.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And because of that, I think whenever the premier is on TV saying this is the only way, we must do this, blah blah blah, 6 more weeks, whatever, okay, perfect example is this guy
Mm,
extended stage 4.
mm,
Okay, so stage 4, which is like the curfews, the 5 kilometer stuff, all the shops closed, blah 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 blah. He extended that.
mm.
Okay, it was meant to last until September 13. Okay, he extended it effectively to October 26th, but he didn't call it stage 4 anymore. He just said, "Oh, step 1, step 2," and the news reporters reported it as,
Okay.
Dan Andrews extends stage 4 by 2 weeks. And I'm like, it's the same
Mm.
shit. You just have an hour exercise extra on the 26th. That's the only
Yeah, yeah,
difference,
yeah, 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 yeah.
And
Fuck,
a lot of
man.
people don't actually, sort of sit down and think. I feel like a lot of people just see that and think
And then they
this
think,
is what's happening.
yeah, 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 yeah. Man, look, man. Honestly, it sounds like it's really tough to be a Victorian right now, especially a Melburnian. Um, sounds like it's really tough, man, and especially a young dude. um,
Yeah,
it sounds, man, and
lucky
I
for
feel
a
for
liquor,
y'all,
bro.
man. Yeah, lucky you got. I think a lot of dudes are obviously, I mean, taking, like drinking, obviously more. But what, what have you been doing, man, to kind of you know, to kind of
Um,
manage, to kind of maintain, you know, to maintain, like.
in a way, like it's good to have like, it's good to have like if you're working full time, if your job industry hasn't been shut down by the
Mm,
government because you can work from home, it's been good to
mm,
have that sort of thing that you have something to do,
mm,
you know,
mm.
because I think it's also like a little bit worse if you're sitting at home collecting, job keeper,
Bro,
but you've got
bro,
nothing to do,
bro.
but you can't go anywhere. You can't
Mm,
go outside for more than 1 hour. I think it gets really dire then,
mm.
you know. I think initially maybe a lot of people might have caught this as, man, it's a nice little holiday. I don't have to do anything. But, the reality is outside of work, it's not really much, man. It's not really much. Like we kind of have to skirt around the rules just to keep our sanity. And
Yeah,
I don't say
like,
that in a minimal sense. Yeah, like lightly.
yeah. You kind of have to, bend the rules a little bit to socialize, right?
You have to,
Yeah.
because like I live
The
with
so,
myself.
yeah.
If I had followed the rules, you know,
The social
like to
aspect is
the
so important, eh? Like the social aspect of seeing people, talking to people, laughing, joking, whatever, right? It's
it is, and
yeah.
I don't think the government is actually considering that one bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the case numbers,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I read one statistic, on average, 440 people die in Australia every day, right?
Yep, 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 yep.
This is last year, this year, next year, just on average, like out
Mm-hmm,
of life,
mm-hmm,
And if you look at it, 800 and what, 50 people have died of coronavirus since the start of the pandemic in the whole
mm-hmm,
country in
mm-hmm.
9 months, and we've shut down everything else, but we're not taking into account other people, because there are people that are going to get really poor from this, and people actually die from poverty. I think people like don't understand this, right?
True, 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 true. You think people are actually gonna die from poverty because of this, or like from the other effects of the poverty of this will bring? Hey,
Yes,
that's what you mean?
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
other effect,
yeah,
people are
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
fighting in their homes, like, if you don't have enough money,
Mm,
kids are going to go astray because they can't, have this hobby, or some people are not going to be able to. Good example is like if you've closed all this non-urgent surgery, right? And people can't go and get treatment. That is not, it might not be urgent in the means of it needs to happen in the next 3 months, but they still need it. And you've had this lockdown since March where you've canceled all those people are
mm,
getting sicker.
yeah,
Those people are getting sicker and sicker. You might find that, there's a buildup of a certain disease that is not normally as serious
yeah, yeah,
in normal times further down the
yeah.
line.
Now, impacts of things are usually, yeah, they sometimes, they're felt down the track. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whereas
Mhm.
opposed to at the time, people may not have the foresight to see the stuff. So they're like, yeah, yeah, it's cool, it's calm, it's calm. And then later on, you're like, whoa, all of this shit happening, all of this shit, knock on effects. Hey, man. Wow.
And I think that, and yeah, and I think that's what the point of, a government is. Different ministries having different foresights for different effects of policies, right?
So right now, like in Victoria, all the other government departments, right, have they been making their sort of like stance known, or do we know
Um,
what their thoughts are about, or we just because I haven't really seen
man,
anything about that, to be honest.
like it's only been a few people that I've seen speaking out. Like one of the MPs from the Liberal Democrats,
Yeah,
David Limbrick. I think I sent you one of his.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I
yeah,
sent you his page.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously the guy from the Treasury Office, the economist.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't really seen anybody speaking out because, like, the other thing is, Parliament has been suspended for a
Mm-hmm.
while. You know, these state of emergency, state of disaster powers allow Parliament to be suspended.
But these
So
guys can be making, like, they can be going hard on social media. I mean, these days you don't. You don't really need Parliament to if you're going to be calling somebody else. They got Facebook accounts and all that. They can just be going off on that, can't they?
Man, but wasn't the lady just arrested for, you know, incitement the other week for
What exactly
saying her?
did she do? What did she post?
She was
The
just
pregnant
saying that
lady. Yeah.
she made a post promoting, I guess, some protest event, saying, look,
Mm-hmm.
we're sick of the suicide, sick of the mental health, sick of
Mm-hmm.
the joblessness, sick of people's livelihoods being destroyed, our favorite businesses closing down, sick of not being able to live.
Mm.
Let us, there's this protest going on. It's at this time on this date, please social distance. And then because she posted that, the cops came and arrested her for incitement. And it's, the cops have got all these powers now. Like they can walk in your
Yeah,
home without
under
a
state of
warrant.
emergency. Yeah.
One of the
Yeah. Yeah.
main issues I have with this whole, like bringing it back a little bit to here, with this
Mm.
whole state of disaster, state of emergency, where like, and then now they're trying to write, new laws to give people like, their designated officers the right to detain anybody who they suspect of breaking COVID rules and blah, blah, blah. It's like you've already got enough powers.
Mm.
Cases are going down. What do you want?
What
The
more?
problem with it is like, even if, majority of people think that Daniel Andrews is a good premier and he's doing, what's best for his state. The thing is, when that law passes, 5, 10 years from now, somebody else might be in power that is got a completely fucked up mindset and he's gonna abuse those
Abuse.
powers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
We just need some sort of balance, man.
Yeah, this is a good thing though. I mean, I feel like a good thing though is that you are, or the people in Victoria, or like that Liberal Democratic Party leader. You know what I mean? They are able to come out openly and voice their concerns and their opposition, right? You know what I mean?
Mm.
And obviously, some people are hearing it, and there's
Mhm.
some people who are, getting even more informed on the whole, on the
Topic.
legislation change and on all the topics. You know what I mean? that
Mm.
that that as well is a good thing, because somewhere else you wouldn't be able to do that.
Look, come on, just right here that like voice people, somebody was charged for incitement. Okay, I just
Yeah,
feel like that's a very slippery slope, man. Like you can't,
yeah.
like it's a very slippery slope where they're going with this. Like this guy literally say
What's her background, this lady, man? Like, what was she? Was she like somebody
the
who was known to the police, or was always known to be kind of
no.
organizing
It
or
was
inciting stuff?
a pregnant lady in her house made a
Mm,
Facebook post. Okay, you
right.
shouldn't be getting arrested for a Facebook post, in your opinion,
Yeah.
and saying let's protest for
People
this.
coming
Like
to your house. Yeah.
people should always be able to protest and voice their displeasure with something.
Yeah. And see, sometimes
You
that's
know.
a problem. That's a problem with law, right? Because sometimes you can follow the letter of the law, right?
Hmm.
When something isn't morally cool, something isn't morally, like, uh, like arresting a pregnant woman in her house. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
morally, anybody, you're kind of like, bruh, that's a bit
You
over the
should have let
top.
that one go.
Yeah, bro,
Hmm.
just allow that
Yeah.
one. You know what I mean? Just allow it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But then,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. So you're right, man. It's a very slippery slope, legally, because
Did you,
these
did you
guys obviously, yeah.
these guys what?
I mean, obviously, they did that within the bounds of the law. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
But
it's dangerous
but the law itself isn't yeah.
and
Did you
dangerous.
see the story yesterday? Um, you brought up a very good point that I was thinking about like yesterday. There was a
Uh,
story yesterday of this man like here in like Melbourne metro area.
yeah.
His son who was autistic.
Hey, man, that was
Um,
sad, bro.
you saw that he went for
Yeah.
a walk and he got lost, and
Fuck, man.
usually it was a normal thing that the kid did.
I saw that on
That
the
he got
day
lost
before.
and
Remember, I remember seeing it on the day before, and I was like, "Man, the kid's autistic. I hope they find him." Because early in the year, there was another kid. He was autistic, And this guy was
Mm.
like a high functioning or autistic kid, right? So he was a little bit,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But the other kid, and they found him. I was like, man, I hope they find this kid. And then yeah. But sorry
It
to,
didn't
to,
end
to
up.
interrupt. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, no.
it
That
was
was a
sad.
heavy
Yeah,
story, man. Like
that was
I
sad,
saw
bro. It
that
was sad.
where I caught it was when they were still searching for the kid, and
Okay.
his dad was on ABC
Yeah.
News saying,
Yeah.
my boy's 11, but my boy's, he's one of those strong kids, man. Like he's fit. He can, he can hold his own, like in the woods for, he'll
Mm.
be all right. I'm sure he's all right. We're gonna find him, man. Like blah blah blah. Then he started tearing up in the middle of it,
Yep, I seen
and
that
watching
interview, yeah,
that,
when he was
watching
tearing.
that, I was like, man, this is deep. It's
Nah,
deep because
that was, yeah.
he's really trying to wish positivity, even though it's But the reason why I brought that up was
Mm,
when the search continued, there were a couple of people here
mm,
that decided to break the 5 kilometer curfew crap
mm.
and join in the search. Like a bunch of people just joined in.
Yeah.
And then one of these police commissioner type people, I'm missing the name right now, forgive me, but they made a statement to say, look, you can't be breaking the chief health officer's directions about, not gathering with groups of people, more than five. You're only allowed to gather with groups of people more than at the max 5 people in a park for exercise for 2 hours. Outside of
Mm.
that, you're not allowed. So they're saying that because all of these volunteers were breaking the law to help search for the kid, they could be charged or something like that. And I thought that's not right.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. That's like, come on, guys. Let's just be reasonable. You know what I mean? What happened to the reasonable thinking, dude? Like, what happened to, just being, yeah. What
It's
happened
it,
to the
it, it,
feelings? Yeah.
it's sort of it's sort of this principle. They always say one of these like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. I was just thinking about that story,
The
but yeah.
story,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
fucked
yeah.
you up.
Yeah, hard, bro, hard, but yeah.
It's funny, like them finding out that they found his clothes first, and they found the body. That story and the story of the dad talking about it, like
Mm,
before they found the kid, when he was sort of
mm,
like sizing himself out to be like, oh, my kid's strong,
mm,
he's got some
mm.
biceps, he can do this. Both of them touched me like the same way, man, because I was like, man, this is pure human emotion,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I guess that's why, like in history class, man, I remember they used to teach us like about part of the reason why the world's greatest tragedies have happened, like
Mm,
with dictatorships and whatnot. I'm not saying that this is a dictatorship. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that in history class they used to say it was because laws were passed with the intent of good purpose, right?
yeah.
But when laws are passed, it's more important to think about not just the intent,
Mm,
but how this law can be used.
mm.
And this is one of those examples. This 5 people outside, yeah, the intent is to minimize community activity, minimize transmissions, but this same law is being used to stop people from doing something as noble as helping this man look for his boy.
That's peak, bro. That's peak.
You
So,
know,
yeah, man. No, you're right, bro. I mean, history is like that, you know what I mean? It's like I remember I wasn't a big fan of history in school, but the older I've got,
yeah.
yeah, the older I've gotten, I've begun to like it's actually a really cool subject, and it's an important subject, bro, because you know if we don't learn from it, we just keep repeating it. But it seems humans have a tendency of doing that, right? Something happens, they write about it, you know what I mean, and then a lot of time passes, and then people forget, and then they go through the same cycle again, and then
What happens? It couldn't happen here. Oh, that was in China.
yeah.
It's always like it was that guy. It couldn't happen in here.
Yeah. And a lot of times, you know, and it's funny because a lot of times, even sometimes when people are in the midst of that historical event,
Mm.
they don't realize that, you know, this is really going down and it's really fucked up. You know what I mean? But years later, they'll be like, when people write about it, and it's like, damn, you know,
That
that
was
was
fucked up.
that was
I think
crazy.
that's the case here, though. I think
That was
that's the case here.
crazy. Yeah,
That's the case here. People are loving, like, I'd say, like, maybe,
yeah.
I would say now it's probably 55% of people are loving these lockdowns, and 45% are
95
over
or
it.
55? Okay, yeah, 55.
55, I would say
Yeah, yeah,
55.
yeah. You know, I think yeah, I think there's very strong justification for that statement, bro. Yeah. That
You think?
Yeah, bro. I feel like it, man. Like people like right now they're like some people they're writing with it, but then in the future people are gonna be like, wow, man, like that that state of emergency, that was really that state of disaster was really, you know, it was a bit that was a bit of an over exaggeration, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Like that was a bit extra, you know, that was a bit a little bit over the top reaction. Yeah, but you know,
You know?
man, yeah.
Uh,
I
yeah.
was just saying, man. The crazy thing is, I'll be talking to some people, man, and they'll be like, uh, I'm driving in my car by myself. I'm not catching, you know, flight. Like some people driving, um, you know, different locations, like young, healthy, like our age. I don't want to catch COVID. I don't want to die from COVID. You know what I mean? Like, like, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, whoa, bro. Like, whoa. You know what I mean?
This is this is the biggest mass hysteria that you or I have lived through in our time. I think this is like people talk about Y2K, but bro, we were like 9 when
We were
Y2K happened.
babies. Yeah, we didn't
We
understand.
didn't know, okay, but
We didn't
I
understand.
haven't
Yeah.
seen any. This is, you remember that Joseph Kony shit?
Yeah, 2012. That shit
Yeah,
pissed me
that
up. That shit pissed me right off, bro. God
this is
damn,
even
man.
crazier than that.
Hard. You're totally right.
But people on Facebook posting memes, people, not memes, people like, oh, save them from Kony. I'm like, bro, what?
I know. Now, Coney was Coney was hilarious, bro. Save the kids, bro. Everybody changed that shit. It's like,
Save
let me
them for
just
the
yeah.
photo.
I think people have forgotten about that Coney hysteria, but we'll chuck it in. But like the thing, but it shows you, bro, like a lot of people, they just jump on, they don't even bother to read anything else or to even look anything else up, or you know what I mean, they just whatever they're spoon fed is what they eat and they lap it up, and that's it, man. That's it.
That's what.
Oh man. I think I
You
watched
forgot about
the
that guy, right? Hmm?
huh I
You forgot
was,
about that guy, right?
it's funny, bro, because I think a few years later, didn't it pop up that it was all a big scam, and the dude who organized that whole campaign, and he had like this
He
massive,
got
didn't
paid
he
a
have
lot.
like a huh?
He got paid a lot.
Yeah, he got paid
Profited
a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah, bro. He got paid a lot, and it was just all bullshit.
And I think like that was a, like, what do you call it, like a moral, like a massive moral panic, like mass hysteria, right, where like everyone, a lot of people are like believing the same thing and going
Yeah,
crazy about it, you know.
yeah.
I actually think this, not
And that was probably like one of the first social media movements, right? I think that's another thing
first
that made
social
it
media
crazy.
moral,
One of the first ones. Hey.
one of the first social media moral panics or mass
Uh,
hysteria, I would say, yeah. And
yeah.
I think this one is one of, um I think this is one of the big ones. Like, I'm not saying COVID-19 doesn't exist. It does, and it does kill people. But I'm saying the mass hysteria around how to react to it is like amplified by social media and groupthink.
Yeah. 100%. And I think it's obviously given credibility by the fact that, you know, some people do have a lot of trust in their
The
government.
government.
some people do have a lot of trust in, international agencies such as, the WHO. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Some people
mm,
do have a lot of trust in the UN, which
mm.
which to be honest, it should be right. We should have, because these are organizations that should be working for, you know
Mankind.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I kind of understand where some people's I understand where some people who are really riding with the government and they're really down with the government on this COVID. I understand where they're coming from, because
Mm.
you know there's these reputable agencies that are saying, you know what I mean?
This is the way to go.
Yeah, 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 this is the way to go, as opposed to some other ones where it's literally just some guy who decided to make a video on YouTube and, it went viral. You know what I mean? Like
But
there's
look, mm,
yeah.
I saw this hot take. I saw this hot take on not hot take. I think I'm disrespecting this opinion. Like I saw this somebody posted this and it was, to be fair, it was like a thread online. Like
Mm.
I'm heavy on Reddit,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Lockdowns, man, like you
yeah. What
gotta,
else can you do?
if you're
Yeah,
not on duty, when I'm not on, you're not on duty.
yeah,
But this person said, you know, in to them, 2020 is the year science failed, and they went on to expand to say, we tend to think of science as this thing where, okay, they know what they're doing, they've researched it, we forget
mm,
that science is usually our best guess at how something works after researching it. It's the
mm.
same as like when you go to the
You
GP,
can't prove it without doubt, like without hundred.
you
You can't
can't prove anything
100%
without
prove
doubt.
anything. Yeah,
You can't,
yeah,
and you go to the GP, they're gonna diagnose you. Okay, what symptoms do you have?
yeah,
What, like, okay, I'm gonna guess based on what you said, okay, you might have this. I'll give you 2 tablets of that. A diagnosis is the best guess, you know.
mm,
Sometimes you might get like a blood test or whatever. That's a little bit different, but
mm,
most times we're guessing, and
mm,
that's science in the unknown because the scientists said in March, you can look this up, okay? The top scientist, the chief health officer here in Victoria, the chief health officer in the main scientists in the US leading the government say don't wear masks. They're more harmful than not wearing a mask. They all say this in March. Now they've done a flip,
mm.
because it just shows science is just they're trying to work it out. We cannot
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that they're wrong.
yeah,
They're trying to work
yeah,
it out, but
yeah,
us as people has always taken science as the gospel,
yeah. But
especially like, mm,
yeah, look, I hear
especially
you,
those of
and
us, yeah,
yeah, who are not scientists. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, look,
yeah,
I hear you, and I hear what this guy's kind of saying. But I think the thing is, the difference with COVID is because it's just started. You know what I mean? It's just started.
mm,
So I wouldn't really hold it against dudes for making the wrong calls. You know what I mean? Because when something is really new and novel, you know what I mean, there is that possibility that, I mean, there's a lot of things that back in the day people thought were good for them, you know what I mean? But then they
mm,
realized, oh, no, wait, this isn't, you know what
mm,
I mean? So I would like to
mm.
just give them in that situation. I'll just be
Benefit of
like,
the doubt.
yeah, 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 yeah. Just be like, you know what? I'll allow y'all that one. You know what I'm saying? Because it was in a tight situation, in a pressure situation. Like, I mean, I'm trying to, like, I mean, if
Mm.
I was in one of them dudes' shoes in that position, it's not easy,
It's
you know what I mean?
pressure,
Yeah, exactly, exactly, yeah, exactly. So,
and look, that's I agree with that. I think it's a hard realization for a lot of us to have to be like, look, legitimately before this whole situation, I thought, okay, scientists say this, it's obviously
mm,
correct. And I think that's how most people think. you know, even like say if like I'll give you a good example here in Victoria. Okay,
Yeah.
if the health minister says this or the chief health officer says this, yep, that's right because he's high up there and this is a developed country and things work well, and
You trust.
this
Yeah.
is
It's
the
affected your
trust.
trust. Yeah.
We expect that he knows what he's doing, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the year it's showing us that I think maybe the way this person phrased science, 2020 is a year of science failed. Maybe not,
That's a
maybe a
bit,
bit
yeah.
hyperbolic,
Yeah, 100%.
you know,
That's to get the headline. That's to get people's attention. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
get people to
yeah.
comment on the thread,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah.
I think maybe what they were going for is probably this is a year we realize that nobody really knows anything a lot of times.
Like we're all we we're all idiots trying to figure it
Mother,
out.
like we're here on Earth, like
Yeah,
like we
yeah,
try and
yeah.
figure shit out, but nobody really knows anything.
Yeah, but yeah, look, I mean, yeah, with COVID, I think it's a little bit of a unique case, bro. You know what I mean? Like it's a this one. I think he's being a little bit harsh. It's been a little bit
Extra,
harsh.
extra cautious.
Uh what do you mean extra cautious? Like you mean
He's being extra, extra cautious.
or the guy who made that statement?
And then oh, I thought you were talking about Dan Andrews. You're saying the
Okay,
person who made the
no,
statement is being cautious.
yeah, yeah, no, no. I was just saying that like I mean he's been a little bit harsh on science.
Scientist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like he's been a bit harsh on science and scientists. Again, the thing with the virus is as well as when you don't yet have an understanding of the virus, like remember what people said about HIV when HIV first dropped. You know what I mean?
Yeah, only gays get it. Oh yeah, like
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna get it from hugging somebody sweats, somebody, so much as breathes on you, like
you saw that
yeah,
Netflix explained documentary where when AIDS came out and like this is literally a news report. You saw that explained
yeah, yeah, yeah. On
the
HIV.
Netflix one, the HIV one, and this is literally a news I guess recording, and the guy is like, "Oh, I'm here one of the gay nightclubs. These are the hotspots for HIV and AIDS. As long as they say that those who have taken this pill, like some type of Molly or something, those who have taken ecstasy and had sex, they're more prevalent to get it." And this was the news in
Yeah, this was the
19.
news. Yeah, 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 yeah. In that year. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we are there now with COVID-19. You're gonna kill grandma. You wanna end the lockdown. You're gonna kill grandma.
Shit, that's funny, man. That's funny. I haven't watched that explained one on HIV and AIDS. I think I'm gonna go jump on it
You
and
need
watch it.
to.
It sounds like it's hilarious. I think there's gonna be a lot of the wild stuff said in there, eh?
Yeah, it's literally like they captured a
Mm,
moral panic in real
uh,
life.
mm,
So like when AIDS came out and everyone
mm,
had all these hot takes, they're interviewing all these doctors.
mm.
They're literally focusing on the gay community. They're like, these guys are getting it the most. They're taking too much Molly
Bro,
and
imagine the hate that would have subjected from dudes who don't like gays. Imagine the hate. Like I swear, man, a lot of gay dudes was maybe like assaulted or even murdered because of yeah, 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 yeah. That's those effects you was talking about before, eh?
I think we are literally in a moral panic in some way, in a mass hysteria. But like I want to see, I always say, I want to see what happens a year from now when
uh,
obviously it's gonna be around. We might not have a vaccine. Chances are we won't. I want to see the change, of course, But getting off the COVID thing for a bit, I want to ask you what you thought were the other, mass hysteria, social media driven in the last 10 years where the internet has become so accessible.
uh,
I've got one that I'm
yeah.
thinking of that's prevalent right now,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I don't want to drop it.
You don't want to
Nah,
drop
nah,
it?
I'll ask you the question. I don't want to drop it. I ask you the question.
Man, I mean, like one straight off the top of my head, right? It's the flat Earth, the flat Earthers.
Mm.
The flat Earth movement. I think that's pretty funny, man. It's funny, like yeah, the dudes who I forget. There's one like flat Earth community leader, man, and he's really crazy about it, man. Then there's another lady as well, and she's like really hard out into it. And it was just interesting listening to the stories of their lives because, like, the guy, he's in his 40s and he stays at home with his mother. You know what I mean? Look,
Yeah.
I ain't judging. You know what I'm saying? I'm not judging, man. I'm not. If it's cool, if you're 40 and you want to stay at home with your parents, you want to be around them, it's cool. You know what I mean? But I'm just
Mm.
saying, the guy, when you look at him and you see him, and you in that context, you're just like, And then this other chick as well. Like, I'm not being judgmental again, but she was like, she at some point she met some dude who was living I don't know, overseas, I think in England or something, and she packed up all of her stuff and then she sold all of her stuff and then she
Because
moved
we
there.
believed in flat Earth.
No, not even because she lived in flat Earth, but just the backstories of the people are just
Mm.
not. They're not very, they're not the type of people who you be like, this guy is credible. This can be a credible source, and I can follow this credible source. You know what I mean? They've just got these really funky, wacky backstories. And again, I'm not judging, man. Like, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? So it's interesting to me that that's who's really, really leading that.
The founder of that. The
Yeah,
founder of that.
they're like
The
maybe the
leader.
founders, but yeah, they're one of the four, the vocal guys, the really active people within that community. You know what I mean? So that's one that's one that I think is pretty funny.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
but sometimes the mass hysteria gets caught up in the internet, and we're all believing something. And when I asked you, like, give me one example, you gave me
mm.
that one. I think one of the ones that I was thinking of,
There's so
I was
many
gonna
though.
say that. Yeah, I was gonna say that, to be honest. I think the Black Lives Matter one is another one that is a mass hysteria.
I
Not
agree.
saying that that doesn't mean that racism doesn't exist and it's not a real problem,
Yeah, yeah,
but saying that everyone is on it and putting the profile pictures up and all
yeah,
of this other
yeah,
stuff, it's gotten to the point where, there's people that are killed by cops in the US that were
yeah,
about to, they were about to shoot the cops,
yeah, 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 yeah.
getting to
And
the
people are
point
jumping on
where
that.
people are jumping on it. Now everyone's defending, even like everything, even criminals are being defended.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, you're 100%. That's another band. And for me, even with that one, another thing that I found that was kind of like I feel like honestly, it's uniquely African American. I feel like the African American struggle is different, and I feel like it's an individual struggle of theirs. Like for the other dudes piggybacking off it, I'm like,
Mm.
I don't know, man.
Mm.
I don't really ride with that. I
What do you
I
mean?
like, I mean, look, bro, like the African Americans, obviously, we all know, right? They were, forcibly taken to America, right? They were enslaved for, I don't know, 400 years. I don't know,
Mm.
1863 or 1853 when, slavery was abolished.
Yeah.
Then then although they were, free, they were still persecuted. You know what I'm saying? And there
Mm.
was like I mean, and then in the South you had the Jim Crow laws, right? And
Jim
then
Crow. Yeah. Yeah.
they were persecuted
Yeah.
again, and
Yeah.
there's been continual cases within their history,
Yeah.
where the law, it wasn't the same to them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a black dude would commit a crime, right? And then he may not necessarily be treated in the same way as somebody else. You know what I mean? So I
Mm.
think
Mm.
that's the thing. Black Lives Movement is not just about cops killing blacks, right? I
Mm.
think the core of it is just that blacks in America have continuously, for an extended period of time, they have been treated in
being
they
shat on.
yeah, exactly. It's almost like
Yeah.
they're in the country, but then the rules don't really apply in the same way to them. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
I
mm,
almost feel like this, because I almost feel like this cops killing, the police brutality has kind of taken the attention away.
hijacked the whole struggle.
Exactly, it has, bro. It has, because in some of these situations, man, when these police use this deadly force or whatever,
Mm,
sometimes a dude will be resisting arrest. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's cool to shoot an unarmed dude. You know what I mean? I'm not saying
mm.
that, but I'm saying that if
They might think he's reaching for a weapon a lot of
yeah,
the
yeah,
time.
yeah, that's it. That's what I mean. You know what I
Like,
mean? Like,
yeah. And
you know?
I think it's very like disingenuous for like us to look at it over there and be like, oh man. Like when I
Yeah,
look at these people, like where like people are killed,
yeah,
I'm gonna remove the George Floyd one out of this one
yeah. There's some
because that's
extreme.
unique.
Yeah, yeah. There's
It's
some extreme
very,
ones. Yeah,
yeah, it's very unique and extreme because of the
hundred
kneeling and
percent,
all of that,
100%.
which shouldn't have happened,
Yeah,
right?
even the other guy who got
But
choked out for selling what CDs was it? I don't know, but yeah,
yeah, yeah,
continue.
those ones,
Yeah,
those situations,
yeah.
we can say that um, removing the racial stuff, whatever, whatever, they could happen in another country because somebody could kneel on another person. The rest of it, where like someone gets shot,
Ah,
right, and then the
mm,
cops say we were thinking he was gonna pull a weapon.
mm,
They, which is the majority of these type of cases, a lot of people. I just feel like their country, right?
mm.
It's so weaponized,
Yep,
right? Everyone's
yep.
carrying a weapon. Everyone's on the edge,
100%.
right?
So much
Now, whether
tension.
that's too much tension.
Yeah.
Now, whether the weapon is good or bad, I'm not going to comment on that. But
Mm,
it manifests in these ways where people end up getting killed needlessly because somebody else is in fear.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. And
BLM thing saying like, "Oh, Black Lives Matter," because like people
because
getting
yeah, people are getting shot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
every day in the
100%.
streets. For no reason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're 100% right. Now that's a big one, bro. That's a big one. I
Yeah.
think
So
a
anyway,
lot of
that's why I
people,
say a
yeah,
lot of people. Well,
like a lot of people just ride with it, man. But they honestly don't even know the history. They don't even know nothing about it. They just like, yep, BLM, BLM, whatever. Next videos on social media of some dude, of like of a guy or cop shooting or whatever. You know what I mean?
mm,
And social media is so dangerous, man. It's so dangerous because like you see, you know, it's so easy for a video to pop up, bro. Like I seen another video where a cop is literally like throwing hands, you know what I mean? He's throwing
mm,
hands with another guy and he's, like Caucasian, right? You know what I
mm.
mean? And then like you just see all the comments is like, keep that same energy, keep that same energy, you know what I mean? But then the thing is, you don't know the context, you don't know nothing, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
all you see, just that little clip for 10. How can you form a judgment or an opinion on something based off of you know, a tiny little
Yeah.
clip, man? Yeah,
Mm.
but
Nah, look, I think, look, people, that's the thing. Like, everyone produces content, and the
mm,
news isn't the news anymore, and they report their side, and we might be idiots. Whatever we're saying might be completely retarded, but I think we're trying our bit to critically think about certain things. Even having this
yeah.
discussion saying that the BLM thing is like a bit of a mass hysteria, moral panic. That's not something that most black people would say.
No, 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 no,
But
no.
if you look at it critically, you'll be like, okay, what's actually happening? Like the Breonna Taylor thing. Like it's just like, honestly, it's the gun culture that caused those people to die.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because we shouldn't be
Uh,
arguing about like, oh, who shot first? Whoever shot first is guilty. No, like, like what the fuck? How is that the discourse?
yeah, yeah, yeah. They make no sense, eh? And then the thing is, like, as people naturally, people get really emotional about it. You know what I mean? And then I feel like, man, yeah, I feel like even in America, a lot of people they get really emotional, and you got the other guys on one spectrum, and everybody, you know what I mean? Then it just honestly just keeps making it worse and worse. Yeah, 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 worse, worse and worse, and
in the city.
man,
And it's kind of like, man, there's so much passion, but at the same time, there's so much disinformation
mm,
out there,
mm,
you know. And the
mm,
thing that I guess I don't like as well is that all of this movement, this BLM movement right now, this very
mm,
reactionary movement that is, you know, not so much based on what's actually happening, in my
mm,
opinion. Um, a lot of people on Earth as a
mm,
globe, okay,
mm.
will associate BLM with, oh, this is Black people's movement. They are the ones involved in the riots and this and that. But if you actually watch the news,
Mm,
watch like the public broadcasters, you will see that
you
a lot
see the
of these
people
people are
in
like
there.
Antifa white people,
Mm,
but we are going to get
mm.
the
The
perception
flag.
of whatever the flag and the
Yeah.
perception of what we're doing, what they're doing,
Mm, mm,
you know.
mm. Yeah, look,
So
it, it's tough, man, because like the repercussions of all these things that'll be happening, and they just seem like a one-off, or or a today thing. But the things, because even me, how I think about it, right? Like the situation where the tension in the USA is as bad as it is today, right? And
mm,
the feelings among like the African American population over there, you know what I mean?
mm,
They have been
mm,
perpetuated over time. You know what I'm saying? They have come
mm,
about over from a history of a lot of things that happened. You know what I mean? And
mm,
literally in some cases it may have been one government at some point that decided, let us enact this law. You know what I mean?
mm,
And then from that, or even one decision in a court case or something, you know what I mean? Because you know how
yeah.
sometimes as well, like it's it, I guess it's like I I would struggle. Like, I know, like like now a lot of people are going to blame, like obviously, like you said, people will blame Black people, right? But in this situation in the States, right, the blame cannot going back, the blame cannot be on the Black people. You know what I mean? It cannot
Mm.
be. Yeah, yeah, it cannot be. But they're gonna cop it. Um,
They're gonna cop the blame for the riots and the movement.
yeah, yeah. But then no one thinks about what brought this all about, or what started this. Like, I mean, because I know, man, like speaking, even when you like when you speak to, like, I've had, like, obviously interacting. I remember at uni, man, I was friends with this dude. He was American, obviously African American, right? And bro, the tension and the feelings that he had towards, like, white
Mm,
people, man, it was crazy, man. You know what I mean?
mm,
It's
mm,
different to even how us Africans we look at white people or European. You know what I mean? The
mm.
tension is like, it's crazy, and it's so far gone, man. And
It's a hundreds of it's hundreds of years of shit going on.
but
You know,
nobody really seems to be trying to correct it honestly, like honestly and genuinely,
people now just want to riot.
genuinely.
Like the people in power don't want to correct anything.
Nah, that's it.
So,
They
I
don't
don't know.
really want to do it.
I don't know. Like that place is broken on so many levels.
They just want
You know,
votes, bro.
yeah, I saw like what's her name, Kamala Harris, the the Democratic
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Vice
vice
President Joe
president
Biden's.
nominee.
Yeah, yeah,
She was photographed, popping out of her jet,
yeah. Mm,
or in Timberlands and stuff. And then all these articles came out. Is Kamala Harris making Timberlands cool again. That's obviously they're trying to pander to
That's
the black vote over there.
bro, bro. You watching that Michael Moore documentary, right? When he just had a clip in there of Hillary Rodham Hillary Rodham Clinton, right? And she was like,
Pusha
thank you
T.
to thank you to Pusha T, thank you to you don't even know these people, man.
People.
Bloody hell, man. But they're just doing that because the people will be like, whoa, she's down. Bro, man.
Thank you. Like I cracked up like when I heard her say thank you to Beyonce.
Oh my
Thank
God,
you
bro.
to and thanks shout out to SBS for putting that documentary. That's a very
Oh
amazing
man.
documentary. But like when she said thank you, Beyonce, Jay-Z, I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Pandering.
exactly.
When she said
Big
Pusha T
Sean.
and Big Sean,
I was like, ah. I was like, Hillary.
especially Pusha T, bro. Especially
Ah.
Pusha T.
Nah, you're right.
All this guy does is rap about selling crack.
Now Pusha, as always, he has never changed this topic for like 20 years. 20 years in the game since the clips, you know what I mean? I'm your Pusha. You know what I'm saying? That's all he's been about. And come on, bro. Come on, bro.
But what that showed me is like, what their whole democratic system is broken. The whole thing is broken, in my opinion. Because from the whole part about I don't know if you go to the part about the school teachers that have to be on food stamps.
Yep, and they're not getting paid. Yeah.
The Flint thing was the worst. I think that was the best part of the documentary because it showed how corrupt, the governors can be, And then when they go to the kids, I don't know if you go to the kids.
I watched the whole one, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, who went through the school shooting? I'm like, they went to like interview the politician, and he's like, oh.
He's giving those politician answers.
Yeah, like, do you think we really need these guns in our country?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what would you define as a what did you say as a high power weapon? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But it just shows they're broken, and sadly, the rest of us, the rest of the world, we still following them.
We model that.
Whether it's a Black Lives Matter or it's
whatever. Yeah. And we did this a thing. Yeah.
It's just how it is, right? Even how you're looked at as a black dude walking on the street, your whole stereotype is based on them.
Yeah. And to be honest, and even me, my growing up, listening to their music and watching a lot of relating more to their stuff, I have been influenced by it too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Although,
everyone has.
Yeah, exactly, man. Although with age, I think we've both started to be like, draw the line, you know what I'm saying? Or like pull back or like, start to recognize and start to try and distance yourself, from certain things, you know what I mean? Yeah. But, yeah,
it's strong, man.
Yeah. And there's just this illusion that, American democracy is the best, and man, this just makes everything sound depressing, eh?
Nah, like I mean,
yeah,
it does affect the whole world, so we kind of have to, I don't know how, like, did you see that thing on the news today with China? There were they say they'll satellite image of these
guys. Oh, and the camps, the education camps.
Yeah, re-education for the Muslims, for the Muslims.
Yeah, for these.
We're looking at that in shock and awe in China. Like, oh my God, like, China is so barbaric and stuff. The whole world looking at it like that. And then I can guarantee you, if there was a news update right now, okay, there was a mass shooting in blah, blah, blah city in the US, 75 people killed.
Yeah.
We'll be like, oh man, they're fucked. But we're not, like, the world as a whole, we're not gonna, like, what's the word, like, sanction them the same way that China gets sanctioned for what it does.
Yeah, that's Yeah, yeah.
Why is
No,
that?
you're right, man. And that's the media. That one I put a lot of the blame on that on the media, man. You know what I mean? Because the China is portrayed in a certain way by the media, by a lot of the mainstream media, whereas the United States isn't. And look, Australia and United States here, the culture, you can't deny, man. Australia, UK, USA, they are very similar. Even
Similar,
culturally,
yeah.
share the
Mm,
same. They share the same kind of
mm,
heritage, if you would even say. You know what I mean? So
mm,
they,
mm.
because of that, they are going to side. Um, they are going aside, with states, and unfortunately, that's what they do. Um,
Why can't the rest of the world actually like hold? There's more people in the rest of the world than those
yeah,
countries. Why can't like I'm not saying like
yeah,
I'm just saying it needs to be a bit more balanced because there's a lot of shit that goes on
yeah,
over there that
yeah,
is just bullshit in the
yeah,
US and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it ends up influencing the rest of the world and it
yeah.
shouldn't.
Yep, 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 yep. It's
Like
the U.S. controls a lot of the media, though, man. That's a big factor, man.
mhm.
The U.S. controls a
They're the
lot of the
center
media.
of culture. They
Yep,
control
they
culture,
control entertainment, they control music. So when it's like
movies.
that, yeah,
Mm.
movies, yeah, yeah, yeah. When it's like that, it's difficult. It's difficult to knock someone because subliminally what you're taking in, even if you're not really thinking about it, but like how you said before you went to the States, you thought it was something else, but then when you went there, you were like, I mean, you were like, what? I mean, this is not what I was expecting. So they really have a monopoly on that, and that really helps them, to be to
What
be.
I wonder is like getting back to our topic, like what I wonder is they are obviously not
Mm,
believers in this COVID
uh-huh,
being as bad as it is, right?
uh-huh,
They
uh-huh.
obviously don't believe it. That's why they don't really give a fuck how many deaths they
Yeah.
have,
Mm,
you
mm,
know?
mm.
How come they can't control the mass hysteria around the world around COVID? Like Australia usually following whatever the US does, you know?
Yeah,
Most
yeah, yeah.
countries, most of these, developed countries usually following whatever the US does. How come this is not happening in this case?
Um, Maybe the novelty of it.
You
just
think?
because just like it's one of the reasons. I think this the answer to that question is what there's a lot of there's a few different reasons, but I'm just
Mm,
thinking one of them would be the novelty and the newness of it.
mm,
And I feel like in the States you've seen it's kind of divided. The reaction to COVID is a bit divided between the left and the right. You know what I mean?
mm,
The right
mm,
are pushing for a certain approach, which is the more let's go on with things. The left are
mm,
pushing on a more, hey guys, let's be precautionary with it. You know what I mean? So I think over
mm,
there as well, it has been very political because they're also, how politics is. You know how it is, man. When an election is coming around, like everything goes out the window. It's almost like common sense goes out the window, and it's all just about
mm,
campaigning. You know what I mean? So I
mm.
feel like that could be a big factor in the States, that as well, in that, they've got an
True,
election coming up and
true, true, true,
Trump
true.
wants to solidify. What do you think? Um,
Um, I kind of think I don't know. It's hard. Like you
mm,
said, it's probably a lot of reason. I kind of think it's kind of like okay, they follow the U.S. up until something. Let me not say they. I say we as a whole on Earth up until something that we see that is obviously not like feasible. Something that's obviously not sustainable. Something that's obviously not good. Say for example, like they might follow the U.S. like oh, okay, well, U.S. is going to war with this country. The U.S. is, the U.S. is a federation, so we're going to be a federation.
mm,
The
mm,
U.S. is doing this, so we're gonna whatever.
mm,
Up until some stuff that is obviously not good, like say the whole guns issue, that's obviously not good in society. So fuck that.
mm,
There's some parts where the rest of the world can claw back their individuality, but then it's in rare circumstances, and this is one of the only few ones. You know what I
mm,
mean?
So you're saying they're not because they're saying the U.S. is obviously not.
wrong.
reacting in the right way, or it's obviously wrong.
I'm saying like with the corona thing,
Yeah.
the world is looking at it like, okay, these guys are
Okay.
obviously, or
Mm-hmm.
Australia anyway.
Okay.
The
Okay.
corona thing is a bit. Everyone thinks something different, man. But yeah, I
Mm,
think
mm,
Australia looking at
mm,
it like this is obviously wrong.
mm,
Sweden is
mm,
looking at
mm,
it like, okay, they're correct because Sweden isn't doing fuck all about corona anyway.
mm. Then you've
You
got
know.
the UKs and them who have kind of been on the same page with Australia essentially until
Yeah,
their stuff
they've
went
been
down.
hopping back and forth,
Yeah. I
but
think
there are
it just
restrictions there, bro. Hmm?
huh?
There are restrictions there. It's like, oh, we've got restrictions. Bro. You can only hang out with 6 people. Like it's
Yeah.
nothing compared to what we're tolerating here in
But
Victoria.
they're talking about winding them back though now. Um,
I don't think they would ever go as hard as this, man. I don't see it.
mm, true.
I don't think people there like trust the government as much as here, bro. I think people here like it's that mateship thing you're talking about, like it's culturally
Yeah,
ingrained.
yeah,
Like
the culture.
the
Yeah, yeah.
government is right. Government is knowing what
Yeah,
they're doing.
yeah,
These guys will be like, what the fuck for? Like,
yeah, yeah. I guess, yeah. And like, I mean, over time, I don't think here the government, look, I mean, I probably have to do a bit more homework, but off the top of my head, I haven't seen too many situations where the government here has done things that have been very blatantly cause the
bad.
people to mistrust them. Yeah.
Ah, okay. That might be
Like,
why. That might be
like,
why. That might be
yeah.
why. I've never thought about that. That might be why.
Yeah. I feel like, in general, man, Australian governments have, generally, like they've tried to be like those principles that we were saying is,
The mateship.
yeah, just freedom of speech, freedom of, religion, like all that has been fairly held up, you know what I'm saying? Until, yeah, I guess in Victoria until now.
Man,
Yeah.
I think that might be even because he actually believes that this is the way to go.
That's what I'm saying,
And
bro. The guy's in his own echo chamber and he's got people around him and they're all right. And then he's talking to other people and he's got people writing to him saying, go on, Dan, you're doing a brilliant job. Don't listen to what the naysayers say. You know what I mean?
and
He's
then the citizens have never lived under government that's doing bullshit
they
for their
trust,
own
yeah. So they just
for their own
100%,
interest.
100% trust. 100% trust.
That might be it. I haven't thought about that. That might be it, man. Like that might be it. That actually might be it. Like like I think being immigrants, we might be looking at shit always
You're
cynical.
always cynical, yeah. You're always questioning.
Like,
You're like,
like, bro,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, what the fuck is this guy
That's
doing? Like,
it.
yeah.
That's it. Yeah. What secret deal is this guy trying to slip under our noses? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it's like, man, I'm like, maybe he's done this thing so wrong that he has to keep going so wrong that
mm,
this is a sunken cost fallacy. Like, it's just, we look at it that way. Like, perception is a crazy thing, man.
yeah, I feel you, brother. Damn.
So, in closing, man, would you
Mm.
say what's the famous line, public truth, and what we've discussed, as far as,
So I guess the
um,
two ones, right? So
mhm,
the COVID lockdowns and Victoria's treatment, right? And the BLMs.
mhm. Mass
Um,
hysteria and BLMs, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess I'd say, famous lie with the COVID and the QL and the uh, the Victorian government's handling of the situation is that, look, man, COVID really ain't that deadly, yo. You know what I'm saying? COVID, COVID is just it's just a hard flu, man. Like I'm sorry to say, man, it's just a bit of just a hectic flu, man. But honestly,
I'm, I'm not gonna back that, but
yeah, when and
what's the unpopular truth of that?
uh the popular truth is that, look, man, let the people out, man. Free the people of Victoria, man. Let them get back to normal, man. Free the economy, man. It's the truth, man.
And on the BLM and
Um,
the on the BLM, I guess that BLM is one of the mass hysterias, I guess.
yeah. You can give us the unpopular truth and the famous lie on that one, on the BLM.
Man, on that one, shit.
Mm,
I think it's one of the social mass hysterias being driven by
mm,
social media and everything that is perceived to be happening.
mm.
Okay. Obviously, racism is a big issue, yes, but the movement itself is a mass hysteria, the same way that COVID is. Not that these things don't exist, but
Mm.
it's not proportional to what's happening.
And I think,
Uh, mhm.
sorry, no. I was just gonna say, and I think in the case of that one, it's literally even more so as a public hysteria one, because it's really really a social media thing. Like, at least with the COVID thing, I'd say there's governments and world governing bodies
People
that are
caught up
backing
in
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the unpopular truth with that? The BLM.
The unpopular truth of the BLM thing is, like, I don't know. I just feel like like I say, a lot of people doing the rioting in the US. If you look at Portland, for example, there've
Mm,
been riots there since freaking March, nonstop,
mm,
every
mm,
day,
mm,
you know,
mm,
people shooting at cops, shooting at each other.
mm,
Unpopular truth, a lot of these rioters, a lot of these BLM people, they're Antifa people, they're white people,
mm.
but the
Okay.
unpopular truth is it gets looked at as a black movement, and black people are the ones causing all
Mm,
this chaos. It doesn't
mm,
actually help the cause for black people. I don't think the
mm.
movement, the
No,
hysteria around it.
bro, it doesn't, because I kid you not, right now, I'm telling you, and I'm confident of this, there are people out there who are like, look, man, I was riding with the black people before, but now I'm insensitive to it, or I'm apathetic to it. I don't care. I kid you not, there's
Protest
people who,
has burned
because of,
down my business, or
yeah,
you know what I mean.
exactly,
And it's
100%.
not, and it's not even like black people's fault. It's just
Yeah.
the movement is attached to black
Mm,
people via
mm,
being called BLM and all this
mm,
stuff. There's
mm.
people. I think they're gonna win Trump this election. I actually think that.
I think so too. Like, I, I,
like
I reckon yeah. I reckon he's gonna go back to back. Yeah,
it's helping Trump, all the
yeah.
civil chaos and stuff. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people are not going to look through the news and be like, okay, look, who's actually
Mm,
rioting and protesting?
mm,
Even
mm,
that shooting in what's that town called, Kenosha, whatever, where
mm,
that kid shot them people.
mm,
There's a white guy shooting two other white people, three other white people, two of them died at a
mm,
Black Lives Matter rally.
mm.
Right? But if you hear Black Lives Matter rally, who do you think is there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Black people. So
Which is
yeah,
which is
man.
which is like, sorry to even add on to that, which is, I also even feel like it's honestly on purpose been allowed, even the rioting, right? It's purposefully been allowed to continue and go on and go off, to create that thought among some Americans that, damn, this country's really going to a bad place, and these liberals are really gonna fuck the country up. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
been allowed,
Mhm. We need a
for
strong
that.
law and order
That's
president.
it. That's it. So let's keep Trump in, because if we let Trump out, the country's gonna degenerate to chaos, and they're gonna defund the police. I don't even know where the
Police
hell.
and
Oh, man, we can keep going on, Ramsa.
save that
Yeah.
one for another day,
Oh
bro.
my god. Oh my god, man. Oh my
Well,
god.
that's your famous live and public truth, man. If you think we're idiots, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Send us the hate mail. If you think
Please.
we on the money, likewise,
Please. Signing out
signing out.
later. All right, bro.